degree and is in mechanical engineering. And he is a first generation entrepreneur. And he has been actively involved in steel products manufacturing, industrial automation, and EPC project sectors in various geographies. With this introduction, I would like to invite Mr. Arun Miranda for his formal welcome address. Mr. Miranda, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Sujata. Greetings to all the participants of India-USA Trade Connect 2022. A warm good morning to all our friends from the USA and a good evening to all our friends from India. As the chairman of IACC Tamil Nadu branch, it is indeed a privilege for me to welcome you all to this flagship event hosted by IACC. The bilateral relations and trade between USA and India are currently at a high point and is also progressing in the positive direction. As we stand at the cusp of global trade shifts due to various geopolitical factors and realignment of regional forces, it is important for the business community in the US and India to capitalize on this and grow their mutual trade relations. The last 2 years have been quite turbulent for the entire world due to the unprecedented chaos that resulted from the pandemic. This has also taught all of us some novel ways of connecting across borders and shifting to business dialogues and transactions in a virtual mode. As we are hopefully coming out of the pandemic, it is important for us to reconnect, recharge, and establish new connections that would help all of us expand our global footprint. This virtual trade expo is therefore being held at this appropriate time in order to facilitate businesses from both India and the US to foster new partnerships and explore new market opportunities for their respective products and services. Today and tomorrow, we have many companies from both countries who have set up virtual booths wherein they would be exhibiting their products and services. There are breakout rooms where participants could connect with a particular company and hold private discussions. On the sidelines of this virtual trade expo, we have organized some interesting seminars on important sectors. We have distinguished business leaders and industry stalwarts who would share their views and also provide important insights into each of these sectors. We would like to thank all our sponsors, support partners, speakers, various other chambers, Embassy of India and all Indian consulates in the US, service providers, exhibitors, participants, and all others who have helped us in conducting this virtual trade expo titled India-USA Trade Connect. We hope that this event would be a constructive one for all participants. I welcome you all. I now invite Mr. Kapil Kaul, the National President of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, to deliver his address. A few words about Kapil. Kapil Kaul has 40 years of experience in the commodity sector, both in marketing and purchase, with successful launches of 2 brands. He has a thorough knowledge of automotive businesses and has been managing FMCG and auto component businesses at the strategic corporate level for over 25 years. Kapil is a board member of the Rasoi Group of Companies for 2 decades. He's an executive council member of International Chamber of Commerce in India, coordinator for chair of International Chamber of Commerce Asia Pac CEO Forum, and coordinator for the Honorary Consulate of Mauritius in Kolkata. Over to you, Mr. Kapil Kaul.
Thank you, Arun. Good morning to our friends in the US and to Ms. Suja K. Menon for making it possible to attend and to inaugurate this seminar today, a virtual seminar. Thank you, Prabhu, for coming in from Dubai and making it very evident that that the virtual world has made a global village into a global home now, right? And till now, we were all at the opposite end of the globe and could not do trade, and we could not execute our contracts smoothly. But now you can do that virtually. I would look at the pandemic not so much as something bad. You see, it has the good side also, very good side. First, here we are talking to each other when we couldn't and we wouldn't think about doing this in the past. The second is that it has brought the future into our bedrooms now. And we are alive to realities which we could not perceive or we could not think of in the past. So as you would see on the backdrop also, I designed a logo which says E3. It's on the right-hand corner up there. So it's basically three E's, which is conservation of energy, conservation of the ecology, and conservation of the environment. So by this seminar in the first place, we are conserving our energy and conserving our time. Rather than flying halfway around the world 180 degrees and trying to do a meeting, which may or may not yield any results, we are doing the preparatory stuff sitting at our own homes or wherever we are, without wasting any energy, without wasting any time, and with the least amount of effort. So that's the first contribution to the E3. So I've taken upon ourselves that our trade and commerce with the US should increase, not just in a random fashion, but in areas which are critical to the planet as of today, and reinvent our businesses post-pandemic. There's no doubt about it that there is a seismic shift in the kind of businesses that we should engage in, as well as in the way we got to do business and the costing which we have to adopt to do the business itself. In this, India and US have actually, in a very subtle manner, irrespective what our differences may have been over decades, but when there has been a crisis in the world, both India and the US have collaborated very naturally and without any compunction and solved a problem which was global. So the first such crisis was in 2000, Y2K, which I would say is not, I wouldn't term it as a computer issue. I would say that it was the advent of knowledge era in which US invited Indians and India to solve their problems, and we did so. And not only that, we ushered in the world into the knowledge era, and it has brought us onto the front stage. The second such issue came up in 2008 in the GFC, the global financial crisis, when we all know that the G10 and President Obama looked upon India and the Prime Minister then, Mr. Manmohan Singh, to help in solving the global crisis, which was done. And the third is in the COVID 2020, in the pandemic, where we have lent the full support to the world in the vaccine development and production, etc., showing that, yes, we are always on a front foot in order to help and bring the world together. And here it is US and India playing their parts. The virtual world never really sleeps. The world never really sleeps. When America wakes up, we go to sleep. When we wake up, America goes to sleep. So when virtual reality was not there, we did not know what to do. But now we don't have to worry about that. The linkages are seamless. I would say that the US and India are not just natural partners in just democratic values of free enterprise, but I would say there's another way that I look at it, that America invests heavily in R&D and in technology, and India is the software arm of such R&D and technology. We are complementary to each other. And you can see this effect on all the major enterprises in the world, especially American MNCs, where Indians are peopling the top of the executive order and translating this. So I would say that the elephant in the room today is the environment. And it's not just an elephant, it is a very big elephant. And we have to address this both in terms of our businesses, the costing of our businesses, the impact on the way we do business, the impact on, I would say that E3 has to contend with and curtail 3 C's. And the 3 C's are, we've got to eliminate crude oil with renewable energy sources. 2, we have to eliminate the kind of consumption-based economy that we are existing in today. It can't survive. Why? Because it is leading to immense amount of waste. We can't have this waste-driven economy. It's got to completely change. And third is that to whatever extent we can, we got to eliminate corruption. So the 3 E's should eliminate or reduce the 3 E's, rather 3 C's. And defense and aerospace and technologies like this are the technologies or the kind of businesses that will help us to reinvent ourselves going forward into the world. Not many people know that most of our civilian technologies and products all come out of defense R&D. And the internet itself has been evolved by the DARPA in the US, and it's been given free to the world. Even in India, the DRDO actually invented your packaged food, which was done for Kargil and for the Siachen Glacier for the defense. And it was then adopted, the same technology is adopted by ITC for their own foods. There are many such technologies. And it's not just arms and ammunition, etc., that defense is about. It's also about the satellites that map the terra firma, that help you try to identify or tackle volcanic eruptions or earthquakes or locational issues, Google, etc. So I don't need to really expand too much on that. So I'd like to end here and welcome everybody to this virtual Trade Connect, India-US Trade Connect. And thank you everybody for being present, and hope you have a good 2 days of interaction. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kapil Kaul, for your encouraging address. I would now like to introduce our distinguished chief guest, Ms. Suja K. Menon, who is currently the Minister of Commerce at Embassy of India in Washington, D.C. She was earlier the Counselor Political and Chief of Staff to the Ambassador in Washington, D.C. She belongs to the 2005 batch of the Indian Foreign Service. She has served in key roles in many Indian missions in different countries. Ms. Suja K. Menon holds a graduate degree in economics from Government College for Women, Thiruvananthapuram, and a postgraduate and MPhil degree in economics from Jawaharlal Nehru University in New Delhi. She secured All India 4th rank in the Indian Civil Services exams in 2005 and was the topper among the women candidates. Suja K. Menon is also a poet and an accomplished author. She has published a collection of English poetry titled Exora, Consistently Inconsistent, and other poems. She also writes short stories in Malayalam, her mother tongue. One of her short stories based on quarantine and lockdown has even been made into a short film titled We Need to Talk. Ms. Suja K. Menon is married to Dr. Sugata Bagh, Associate Professor at the Delhi School of Economics, University of Delhi. I now invite Ms. Suja Menon, Minister of Commerce, to deliver the Chief Guest's address and also to officially declare open the India-USA Trade Connect 2022. Over to you, ma'am.
Thanks a lot, Arun, for that very kind and generous introduction. Leadership of Indo-American Chamber of Commerce, Mr. Kapil Kaul, Mr. Arun Miranda, Sujata, Prabhu, participants who have logged in both from India and the US. It's a pleasure to be here. It's a bright and sunny morning in Washington, D.C. Thank you for having me here. Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I don't intend to make a long speech, but just a couple of points in terms of scene setting, if I can call it that way. It was the father of economics, since you mentioned it in my introduction, it was the father of economics, Adam Smith, who said, every man lives by exchanging. So, our life is basically, in a way, all connected to trade. It's a very critical pillar, not just in terms of our professional expertise, but in terms of the way we live in. And you are holding this virtual expo at a time when the India-US trade has reached an historical high of $113 billion. The latest figures have just come out. That's in the goods. And if we add the services, it could be well beyond 150 billion US dollars. So please, I just have to remind you that this has happened despite the constraints of the unprecedented pandemic. It only shows the real potential of this relationship. It shows how much we can achieve together. And when we speak of India-US relations, I'll be very candid with you here. It's beyond the relationship between the two governments. Of course, as governments, we do play a role, but it is also about you, the private sector, the industry, the intelligentsia, the academia, the people on both sides who actually drive this relationship. So when we call India and US as the natural partners, which both of you mentioned very vividly, Kapil and Arun, I totally agree with each word of what you said. This is beyond the two governments, and each of you has an important role to play in taking this relationship forward. Of course, some of our CGs would be speaking at a couple of your panel sessions, as I understand. We at the embassy and all the 5 consulates are here. We are happy to support in all way we can. Please feel free to reach out to us anytime. Now it's all a virtual world, as you rightly said. We are more interconnected than we used to be. The change is here. So, please feel free to reach out. I just wanted to mention, 5 broad, baskets, which I call them baskets in terms of the priorities for India-US partnership. And, I'm very happy to say that, these 5 priorities absolutely gel with the key focus sectors of your virtual expo and webinar today. And, the first basket, again, is not a surprise to any one of us, is the pharma and, healthcare basket. We are going through a difficult time through the pandemic. So it's natural that the India and the US, we have done a lot together in terms of COVID management, COVID support. We have supported each other in times of need. And going beyond, when we talk about, global strategic partnership, it's not just between, what we do for each other, what India and US do for each other. It's much beyond. It's what we do together for countries around the world. And in that, affordable healthcare is a key priority, both for India and the US. Be it in terms of vaccines, be it in terms of N95 mask, in terms of diagnostics, we have done a lot in this sector. And of course, we can do a lot more together. Again, the second priority, the second basket, again, it's not a surprise. Mr. Kapil Kaul mentioned it, touched upon it during his remarks. The tech basket, the IT, digital, innovation, startups, the entire tech basket, there is a lot of complementarity, a lot of synergy between India and the US. As you rightly said, Kapil, we have a lot to offer in terms of R&D and innovation. US, of course, is a technology powerhouse. So we, of course, can, the connect between the different South Indian cities and, of course, the Silicon Valley is very strong. Indian diaspora has played an important role in taking this relationship forward. In that sense, our companies have contributed a lot to the US ecosystem in making their companies more productive, in creating the jobs here. So it's a two-way partnership in every sense. The third basket, again, Kapil spoke at length about this, the energy basket. the energy and environment. Of course, it has both the traditional pillar of energy and, of course, the new renewable ones. And we say that we, of course, run the largest renewable expansion program in the world. And the US, of course, has a lot to offer in terms of battery technology, in terms of climate mitigation, climate finance, climate technology, etc. And renewables for us, I say that it's neither a compulsion nor an option, but it's our passion. So your three E's actually fit in very well there. The fourth, again, you touched upon it, is the defense and the aerospace basket. Uh, on the G2G side, we have come a long way. We have signed all the three foundational agreements in defense with the US. Our mil-to-mil cooperation is on the rise. We are doing more exercises. We are doing more complex exercises. There's a lot of strategic convergence when it comes to Indo-Pacific. We have had the first virtual Quad summit exactly a year before. Prime Minister visited the US in September for both the bilateral summit with President Biden and also for the Quad Leaders Summit. We have just had a Quad virtual summit again last week. So there is again a lot that we can do together in the defense and aerospace sector. The last but not the least, the fifth basket is the education and knowledge sharing. Again, of course, in a way, it's connected to some of the other baskets which we have spoken about earlier, the tech, etc. We have 200,000 Indian students in the US. It's an important pillar of our relationship in the sense that how well the youth in both countries connect with each other will be a reflection of what the relationship will be in the years to come. So that's a very, very important connect. So what's interesting is that, I see the sectors and focus here. You have touched upon all the 5 baskets and even more. I'm happy about it. Of course, you've added things like agriculture and food processing, apparels and textiles, automotive and general manufacturing, etc., etc. So it's very good to know that the priorities that we see are exactly the priorities that you have for us today. So it's interesting. It's the first time I'm attending a virtual trade expo with breakaway booths, etc. that you had mentioned. It's interesting, but I must confess that I've attended virtual lunches and virtual dinners. It's a virtual world that way. So it's interesting to be here. Just before I conclude, I just want to mention a few points, just as just for reference. PM has consistently spoken about the importance of 3 T's, the trade, technology, and tourism. So what we are doing together today is again a reflection of transforming that vision into action. I wish all of you well. I hope that we are able to make productive use of our time here, being interconnected in a virtual world. And please feel free again to reach out to us. You have our coordinates. I wish you the very best. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Suja Menon, for the excellent address. And thank you for accepting our invitation to be the chief guest for this flagship event of IACC. I now request you to officially declare the Expo open.
So together we shall announce that the Expo is open.
Thank you. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Kapil Kaul, and thank you, Ms. Suja Menon, for joining us for this opening session. We also have keynote sessions on chosen sectors, which will begin shortly. Today, we have 4 sector-specific sessions, namely, the first one is going to be on green hydrogen and mobility. Second one on electronics and semiconductors. The third session on aerospace and defense. And the fourth session is a presentation on factory of the future. The first session on green hydrogen and mobility will commence at 7:15 p.m. Indian Standard Time, which is 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time in the US. All the sector-specific sessions will take place in the auditorium, which can be accessed from the landing page, which is the lobby. Once again, our best wishes to all the participants of India-USA Trade Connect. Have a good day. Thank you.